Swadikap, and welcome to the Tiger Channel second episode on a fresh and modern perspective on Thai and Southeast Asia history. Forget the textbook that you have read about Thai history, how it all began in Sukhothai 700 years ago, and then suddenly Sukhothai disappeared, and then came along Ayutthaya, which was 500 years ago, and then came Bangkok. That's all wrong. Well, not completely, but the architecture at the back, which is around at least 1,000 years old, maybe up to 1,500 years old, will prove my point that Thailand, in fact, has been a melting pot of different people that bring their own tradition, their language and cultures, which ultimately make this country, Thailand, and make it great. So the architecture at the back is a very typical South Indian style architecture. It's actually the Varati period, which historian dated it to around, like I said, at least 1100 to 1500 years old. And we know this because from the carbon dating of the rocks and also from the studies of Indian and Southeast Asian architecture. So there's also a theory, a belief that maybe the head architect of this magnificent building, which a lot of people call it the Thai Borobudur, because it's also a JD style, stupa style, similar plan and design to the one in Indonesia. And we know that it was heavily influenced by South India because from the study of the architecture of this giant stupa. So this giant stupa, if it was completely still in shape, the top of the stupa would have been a lotus shape or a half circle, topple half circle. But unfortunately, with the architecture in central Thailand, from my own research and my own observation, is that in this area there are not a lot of places where you can get rocks such as sandstones and laterites. For example, in Angkor in Cambodia, Phnom Gulen is actually a bedrock where architects and leaders and artists can go and get an abundant amount of sandstone and laterite rocks, which ultimately became a strong foundation for the great architecture. Thailand, although influenced the same way, influenced from India and also in our later period from Cambodia, which a lot of Thai history books will not tell you this fact, but the Khmer people, once a great empire which ruled all of Southeast Asia, we have them, if not because of strong nationalistic stance or point of view, we have them as part of our ancestors. And so were the Mons that were originally from South Burma, because these were people that originally inhabited Southeast Asia before the Thai-speaking people, the Thai-speaking group, became more influential and more powerful and eventually became the ruling class of modern-day Thailand. But the stupa is incredible. It's as high, as big, as one mountain. And like I said, a lot of people are calling it Borobudur, Thailand, to mimic the great Borobudur architecture in Indonesia. And what's interesting about this place, my first episode, I took you to Khao Thamorat, or the Thamorat mountain, which, as we know, is an ancient archaeological site that dates back to prehistoric period, where people were still cave dwellers. So what's interesting about the discovery of this architecture is that historians and people that first discovered this Khao Klung Nog, Thai Borobudur, is that even though it is designed that it can be accessed in all four sides, because it's a rectangular style stupa, but all three entrances are closed since ancient time, and the only side which was accessible is on the western side of the stupa. And what is super interesting about the western side of the stupa is that when you look to the west, when you stand up at the top of the stupa of Khao Klung Nog or Thai Borobudur, and you look to the west, you can see the Khao Thamorat in the first episode. We're still in Phetchabun province, which is 400 kilometers from Bangkok, and part of the reason we have to study history, not just for the sake of looking at buildings, but we have to understand the geopolitics and the economy, the trade at that time. Phetchabun was at the epicenter of many trade centers. So if you're coming from Angkor, coming from Champa, coming from Dai Viet, and you want to go to Myanmar, you have to pass Sithep. If you're coming from Lan Nan, northern Thailand and China, and you want to go down south to Sriwijaya, to Malaysia, to Indonesia, you have to go past Sithep. If you want to go from the east side of Thailand, like I said, from the Great Mekong in Laos, you want to go to the west, to Myanmar, Sisaket, the ancient empire of Myanmar, of the Mon people. You have to go past Sithep. This is how the Sithep ancient people were able to build a great empire. Wealth have to come from somewhere. People like today, like modern day world, wealth cannot be created from thin air, unless you're from an Arabic state where you have a lot of oil resources and you know how to trade. That's important. So we know that it's actually in the epicenter of all these powerful empires. If you want to trade between China and India, you have to go through Southeast Asia. That is a fact, because ancient traders have to rely on the monsoon weather, which means that they have to have some duration, some break period during the monsoon season to have a break in Southeast Asia. That's how Southeast Asia empires got big and got great. And that's how the Sithep kingdom became a powerful empire at least 1,000 to 1,500 years ago. Maybe at that time, who knows, maybe the people were Mon Khmer speakers. But nevertheless, they are part of the Thai people. They are part of our ancestors. And this is a modern perspective on Thai and Southeast Asia history. And I hope you enjoy that. Hope I will upload a third episode where I take you to a site to give you a different and a modern perspective on Thai and Southeast Asia history. Thanks, bye.